Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rayge, and we are back today to cover a very important topic in terms of how we're going to be utilizing resources for the next coming up months here in light of the new information that obviously got announced this week with the announcement of Blue Marvel, and as well as the introduction of Isoway Purple 4 and Level 5 coming to the game, especially in the way of leaderboards, but some more information has also come to light in terms of speculation of how these resources might be coming into the game. So I want to talk about that as well as my overall strategy. I also want to touch real briefly here on as well. I'm getting a lot of comments from folks about, should we be skipping Professor Xavier now? Now that we see this new mythic level character, Dark Dimension-esque, coming, obviously he's going to be changing the meta in some way, shape, or form. Is he now a character that we should be prioritizing over some of the other mythic characters that already exist in Marvel Strike Force? So we're going to cover all that, guys, and hopefully this will give you some more insight to help you make that best decision for your account overall. So first and foremost, guys, I do want to point out, despite what some of the content creators and envoys have already circulated this week, I do want to point out, I've already covered this weeks ago, right? We talked about this in our save now, next progression soon, HOARD, Isoway Purple, and so forth, because the writing was on the wall. It was pretty obvious it was coming around the corner in terms of what to expect. So it's just funny how, they always seem to be late to all this information, but making noise about it now when we've been planning in advance just because we have that foresight. And obviously just knowing, Marvel Strike Force is a business, it's quite predictable if you know that they want to monetize, and obviously they need a system so that way players can also have that bit of predictability. So just a funny little reoccurrence there. But let's talk about some of the things that have been mentioned by the envoys, and I want to cover that in terms of the possibility as well. So one of the big things is obviously in my video, I touched on how my game plan was going to be hoarding antimatter. And you know what, given some of the information that was circulated, and apologies, I didn't get a chance to watch some of these videos, but my alliance mate pointed it out, so he gave me some TLDR in terms of what information was circulated, and that's what we can share as well in today's video. But yeah, there seems like there's going to be a likelihood, again, not a confirmation, so don't take this as gospel, but there's a potential likelihood that the Isoway Purple 4 and 5 could very well be coming to the Battle World store. It could also very well be coming into the new antimatter store, which makes sense because if you think about it, even some of the newest characters, like Scorpion most recently announced, and all the recent teams, all the recent character additions and resources, even T3 level 1, that's all farmable in the antimatter store. So would it make sense that it comes to the newest store, especially given that there's still 52 days remaining? 100%. I definitely see the strong possibility of that. So that's going to be an avenue. That's also why, over 3 weeks ago, I touched on the fact of why I'm hoarding the antimatter, right? But more importantly as well, if you're like myself and you already unlocked Professor Xavier, I mean, you're not really hunting Gear Tier 20 anymore. You're going for the character unlocks, and at the same time, because the character unlocks are cheaper, as you can see, 5 shards for 12.5k as opposed to the, I think it was like 5 pieces for 35k. It's easy to actually save quite a bit from just purchasing character shards as opposed to Gear Tier 20. So that's really how I've been able to build up a supply, and as well at the same time still farm characters so that I can get unlocked without even having to access my power cores. So that's been phenomenal. So do I agree with that? I think it's speculative, but I do agree that there's a strong likelihood it's coming to the Battle World store, and in addition to the antimatter store, dependent on how they want to obviously bottleneck how much players are getting access to, right? I think in the beginning you probably won't see it. Maybe in a few weeks, maybe to a couple months they might see it. But I can also see the strong likelihood coming perhaps in the way of the new battle world, especially since we know Sentry is also around the corner. So just something to be on the mindful of. I think there's going to be a finite amount in the beginning, very, very similar, if you recall, when Odin was first released. I mean, it was really only coming from the way of events. I definitely see that's probably going to be the strongest likelihood of how this is going to get funneled first, and then as there's more access, they're going to be adding it to the store, and then maybe heck, we'll see an antimatter store, but we'll see. There's still over a month and a half of it remaining, so it's definitely possible it could be near that tail end. So you can start hoarding now potentially. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking that risk, taking that chance, but keep in mind, I've already unlocked Professor Xavier, so I'm not losing out much. For you guys that are still going ahead with, obviously building up Gear Tier 20 pieces for Professor Xavier's saga, I don't know if I would prioritize that, because the other big fact that was revealed from those videos apparently was the fact that Blue Marvel, he is not going to be as strong as Professor Xavier or Odin. So these two characters are still going to be in that top niche. And then I think he's probably likely going to be closer to that Mephisto equivalent. So that way he could actually battle, you know, he would be on the same level in terms of either power or just the way that the kit works, that you can actually plug and play into different teams and obviously change that dynamic there. So then, just to answer your guys' question, and this has been asked quite a bit actually, because in light of this information, obviously now decisions need to be made, right? If you're trying to build towards Dark Dimension 8 for Odin, if you're trying to build towards Age of X Saga, and now there's going to be another kind of Saga-esque for a, you know, the next level Isolated Purple. I think there's a strong possibility that you can build for all three if you're able to kind of take a look at what crosses over to all three of them, right? Because remember, you know, with Odin, he requires Isolated Purple 3. You need respective Gear 20 for Professor Xavier for set tunes, so you can leverage some of those same tunes, upgrade their purples, so to participate in Odin's Dark Dimension 8. And then those same characters, if there is value, you can even elevate them even further for Blue Marvel's event. So I think there's actually a bit of crossover that we can take advantage of. But to address your guys' question on whether or not we should just stop farming altogether, for example, in the antimatter store, I wouldn't do that. Now that we know for certainty that there's a strong likelihood Blue Marvel is not going to be able to match Xavier, I still see the priority then being going ahead and actually farming your Gear 20 pieces, because this is still one of the best ways to access it, especially that agency piece where you can see the 5 pieces for the mini uniques and you can purchase it directly, as opposed to, you know, if you're farming raids every single day, you're getting orbs, but I mean, these orbs, they're random, right? You're not gonna get the chance of guaranteeing, you know, what exactly mini unique you're gonna actually land. It's all RNG, as opposed to the antimatter store. So I would still, in my honest opinion, is I would still personally recommend going for Professor Xavier, going for Odin, because it doesn't sound like he's going to be on the same level as those two characters. Maybe Mephisto, but you know, you're already working towards Dark Dimension 7. Ultimately, some of those characters can also be leveraged for Dark Dimension 8 and as well Age of X Saga. So that's what I would take a look at, guys, especially now that we know you know, what the character traits are required. The Conqueror is obviously being an exception, so if you want to leverage some value there, you could actually take a look here at some of the Conqueror characters already for Chapter 2, and maybe some of these characters are the ones you want to bring into Dark Dimension 7, Dark Dimension 8, Age of X Saga. Like, for example, Fantastic Four, that would be a fantastic team, pun intended, because of the fact that they're already giving you value in the arena meta. As you can see, I'm staying in the top 10, not even really doing anything. There's only a few attacks every single day, and we're generating 500 power cores per day, guys. So that's my 2 cents. What I would also recommend you guys doing, though, which has nothing to do with the antimatter, is that what I've been personally doing is I've been coring and hoarding my campaign energy every single day, because this campaign energy potentially could be a difference maker in generating more Purple 4 and 5 once those events come live. In addition to that, do well as you can in arena. That's how we can prepare, guys. So in my honest opinion, I don't think you should skip Professor Xavier. He's right now still the best character in the game, without question. And it seems like we're just waiting for the official confirmation of Blue Marvel's kit. That's when we can make that ultimate decision. But if you want to give yourself a little bit more flexibility, yes, you can hoard a little bit of antimatter just in case it comes to the store that you can purchase it. But I would still prioritize going for those Gear 20 pieces that can elevate your characters over time, and obviously ultimately unlocking Professor Xavier, because he's probably going to be more accessible to your account before Blue Marvel is, especially given that this is going to be the newest limited resource that everyone wants to chase for. So there you guys have it. Hopefully I was able to answer some of your guys' questions. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys have any further follow-up. Love to hear back. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.